You got them prepared, ready to be cooked. Got your Christmas tree lights up while it's still warm.
Thanksgiving.
I know it's still Thanksgiving, but the Thursday night when I finally go out, it's gonna be cold.
Yeah. Yeah.
How'd it go? Is that fine? Super fine.
Yeah. Starting Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's just.
It's a bad word.
I know, you say it's just that these kids, they think it's a good word.
Yeah.
I love it the other day because, yeah, it's snow that, they had warm weather, you know, throw a snowball every day. But we were-
I should have brushed my hair out. Really quickly.
Yeah, well, no, I started in '07.
Well, good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the East Porter County School Corporation this Monday, November the 24th, 2025. Could we all rise to the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Case looks like on our agenda tonight, we have House Elementary School.
Yes, at this time, for our spotlight this evening, Mrs. Hinkle is going to talk about two different clubs that we have going on at the elementary school.
Okay, great.
So I'll turn it over to Mrs. Hinkle at this time.
Hi, everyone. I'm Carrie Hinkle, principal at House Elementary School. Thank you for the opportunity to share about two of our groups that we have at House Elementary that we are super proud of. Oh, sorry. Nope, you're good. First, we're going to talk about student council. So our elementary student council is in full swing. These young leaders were elected by their classmates to be their voice and bring awesome ideas to life. They're busy planning fun activities and addressing what matters to our students. It's amazing to see them develop leadership skills while making our school an even better place. Democracy starts young in our hallways, and we couldn't be prouder of these mini representatives taking their first step in student governance. So we will recognize each of our city council members that are here. And then also we were able to bring Girls on the Run back to Council Elementary this year for the first time in a few years, thanks to some dedication from wonderful staff and community members that were able to jump in and help. Girls on the Run Crossroads program has a large following here in Northwest Indiana. It's a nonprofit organization meant to inspire girls to build a strong character and be supportive and helpful to friends in the community. One of our leaders we'll start with Girls on the Run. One of our leaders for Girls on the Run was Mrs. Stephanie Dunham. Where did she go?
And Mrs. Laura Warner.
And Mrs. Laura Warner is here too.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So. Okay. This is actually our 10th year at Council Elementary. We took a 1-year hiatus last year when we didn't have enough coaching, and thankfully we had 4 coaches this year to bring it on back. And so this year every year we follow a character curriculum that's provided by Girls on the Run of Northwest Indiana. And this year's was all about climbing mountains, moving mountains, and taking on challenges. And so this group did a great job. We completed 16 lessons this year in an 8-week season. They included choosing friends, using the power of yet and putting up our yet shield, and maybe I can't do it, but I can't do it yet. And using that character development in order to take on the challenge and move their mountains. We took on a community project, which is one of the main focuses of Girls on the Run. And we did so much more. So this is just some cute little pictures of them taking on challenges. They did different things like having to hold a tissue on their head outside and walk to the other side of the line without it falling off. And how could they make that happen? And so they took on some different challenges. This one shows them having to take on a challenge to move 3 people across from one line to the other without disconnecting their feet. So they took on the challenge and they found ways to do it. We had 12 girls. It was a fantastic group of girls. Every one of them was supportive, caring, giving, just great to each other.
Very determined.
Determined, exactly, and responsible. So everyone was at most of the practices. Some of them did more than one club at a time and came afterwards. So they did an absolutely wonderful job. One of the biggest things that we do as part of Girls on the Run, they inspire us to do a community project. Our specific community and project is supposed to be small enough to fit into one practice, but our KES Girls on the Run is historically bigger than that. And so we always end up making it bigger than they thought it would be. And the girls choose it on their own. They go through and decide who needed mountains moved in our community. And they came up with Count Sprouts. Many of them went to preschool there or went to daycare there or knew people that would go there. And they decided they wanted to volunteer their time at Count Sprouts and be with the children. They played with them, they did puzzles, they read to them. So we didn't really know how it would all go. We've never done it before, but we called up Mrs. Malone and she said we could. So this is just some of the pictures of what we did that day. The girls did an awesome job. They got right in there. We were just outside playing with them and it kind of took a mind of its own. And they spent the day playing with them and they were all pretty sad when we left. And then do you want to talk about our last thing that we did?
The race?
Yeah.
Absolutely. We ran at the 5K was at Valpo University this year, and we had our girls complete the race, and some of them had to persevere, and they definitely used their skills that they learned along the way about perseverance and determination and being team players and cheering each other on. And it's a good experience for everybody.
It is. And one thing that is super cool about this year, just as a side note, one of our first participants was a coach with us this year, and officially a coach, not a junior coach. So we've come full circle from the first year that I did it 10 years ago
to back now. She was a coach with us this year. So we've done it quite a few years, but it was cool to have a beginner take on the challenge of the coaching side. So we have some girls here tonight. If you want to talk with Erin, I'm going to look for the last one.
Nevaeh Neiswinger, come on up.
Sorry.
Next week, we're gonna do
You
a
want to
picture.
stay up here, Nevaeh?
Oh, yeah, stay on.
Yeah, I'll get a group.
You want to go
photo
over and
when
stand
you're
kind of
done.
by Mrs.
Embarrass
Fuller.
you, okay?
Okay, and Aubrey Miller, I think it's. Natalia Parks. Gigi Berkey. Mallory Hill.
Perfect. Thanks, girls.
I'm gonna ask all my little student council friends to come stand here. Now you can shield me from everyone else.
So if you're student council, come on over.
You can face. All right, so student council, we started in September. We got a little bit of a late start this year, but I am new to I'm new to Couts Elementary and Mrs. Kneifel, and I'm also new to student council. I ran student council in my previous school, so I just thought the person stepped down this year, so I just hopped onto it. This year, the students, you want to come over here now? Okay. This year, the students had to apply with an essay. It was a little bit different to how they previously had to apply to student council. The students had to write an application or write a little essay on why you would be a great candidate for elementary student council. And they had to turn it back in. And then they sort of competed, but it was anonymous against their classmates. So after they turned in all of their essays, each class got their own video with just their own students, and they were like labeled student A, B, C, or D. And I made a video of all of their essays, and they were so student A, and I read the essay, student B, and I read the essay, and then students got to just vote based off their essay, based off their question. And then students voted, and a male and a female student won from each class. And so they were voted in by their classmates anonymously. So it wasn't, it tried to be as fair as possible. So it wasn't just you voting for your friends. It was voting for who you thought had the best answer for student council. So that was what we did, or that's how they got into student council. And then we had our first meeting, and that was in October. And in our first meeting, we introduced ourselves. I think we said, maybe what our favorite food was or what our favorite color was. I think we definitely talked about food because that is, the source of life and what everyone wants to talk about. So we definitely talked about that together. We talked about our expectations and the standards that student council members need to keep. We're expected to come to meetings. We're expected to be leaders in our school and how we're expected to conduct ourselves. And especially we are 3 through 5. So we are the older students in the school and how we should be act around our smaller students. So we talked about our expectations. I taught, and actually some of the students who were previous students in student council before taught me actually how to collect the recycling around the building. We learned about the Mustang Market. The Mustang Market currently has a new schedule that seems to be working okay because we no longer have an ABC schedule at school. So K1 has it Tuesday. Wednesday is 2-3 and a 4-5 has it Thursday. And the students also now have schedules
the student council students have schedules for when they work Mustang Market, for when they do recycling. They're responsible for communicating with their teacher, like, hi, I'm here, I'm going to Mustang Market. They're responsible for talking to their teacher about when is the best time for them to go collect recycling once a week. So they have to be very responsible, talking to their teacher and communicating, and also communicating with their partner about recycling and with their other Mustang Market partners, because they don't just work with the person in their classroom, but they work in grade levels. There's normally a 3, 4, and a 5 in a Mustang Market where they all have to work together. And they also have to communicate with younger students and students that might be older with them who are purchasing things. So it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of talking with others and not being too nervous to say, hey, you don't have enough money, or hey, maybe, next week you can buy this. And sometimes you would have to tell your partner that maybe they didn't count the quarters right. And we got to recount them, because that has definitely happened. So it's a lot of, making sure things are done right and being extra responsible. Then in November, we just hosted a super awesome hair drive. The students helped us make the posters, and it went super well. The student council hosted a personal care item drive. It was 1 week long. It was last week. It was for unopened and new travel size or full size personal care items, and to make it a little bit more fun and incentivizing, the class that won, who brought in the most items, was going to get a little surprise. And in the end, which it ended last week, there was 843 items brought in just 1 week. And Mrs. Bond's class in first grade won. They brought in 112 items. And the items are going to families on the Angel Tree that we have currently in the elementary. And it's also going to fill the hygiene closet in the middle school and high school. Mr. Elliott is actually in my class, so he knows firsthand how heavy all the bags were with all the hygiene products, because I really roped him into carrying them for me. Do any of you want to give an example of what a hygiene product is, for anyone that maybe doesn't know? Noah? Conditioner for your hair. Sam?
A toothbrush and toothpaste.
Toothbrush and toothpaste. We got lots of those. Nevada? Hand sanitizer. We also had lots of that. Body wash, Elliot? Nail clippers. We had so much stuff, and it's going to do great things for our community. Other than the last thing is just some upcoming adventures we're going to plan along, or as we chug along through the year. We're going to make treat bags for the elementary staff for Christmas. So if you're part of the elementary, I'm sorry, your surprise was just ruined. We're going to host the Holiday Spirit Week for the last week before Christmas to get us really in the Holiday Spirit Week. Our first drive was really successful, so we are going to host another drive in February, which statistically is when the least amount of food is in food banks. A Down Syndrome Awareness Day later in the spring with silly socks to just promote that. And Earth Day, or in April, is when Earth Day is. We're going to be cleaning up around our school ground, and just as other things come up throughout the year, we're going to try to support to make our school a better place, because we are committed to making a positive impact, and these students have already done such a great job. These are just a few of them, obviously, but when I say your name, you can get your certificate and go stand. Mr. Sammy. Lucky you. Carlos, thank you. Okay, so you gotta open it so we can see it. We don't want it to be upside down. Okay. We're gonna scrunch together like we like to do. Scrunch, 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 scrunch. Just like a scrunch. Smile, Mama.
Thank you.
Yay.
Wow, that's exciting.
Thank you again all so much for allowing us some of your time to highlight some of the things that we're really proud of that are happening in Kels Elementary. And we had a great turnout tonight. I am very blessed to be part of this community. So thank you all for showing up tonight as well. If you would like to go at this time, you are more than welcome to do so.
Great job. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was a really positive and exciting thing to see all the great things that are happening in the House Elementary School. That's really great. The next part of the agenda this evening is public input on agenda items. Mrs. Carter, is there anybody who signed up to?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, well, the meetings of the school board are conducted for the purpose of carrying on the business of the school corporation in a public setting. And that business includes budget oversight, approval of personnel reports, policy development, and direction of the school corporation. So now is the time to hear from our community as we are beginning the public comment portion of the meeting. We welcome your comments and value your input. Please note though that this is a school board meeting held in public, not a school board meeting held with the public. And this distinction means that while we welcome your input, we are here to conduct board business and not answer questions or interact back and forth dialogue. Rather, this public comment portion of the meeting provides an opportunity for the community to provide comments on agenda items. Again, please note the public comments are limited to the items only. I'd like to quickly go over a few ground rules. Each speaker is limited to 3 minutes, and any derogatory remarks or direct disrespect towards any board member or staff or teacher or student would not be tolerated. And in the event of such behavior, you will forfeit your time and may be asked to leave. So we have one individual who'd like to speak this evening, Amanda Taylor.
I'm trying to figure out which one it would tie to.
What?
I'm trying to figure out which item I can tie it to. I'm sorry.
What
There
do
was
you-
actually a different, they had changed
Okay,
the law on
please.
that about agenda items. They don't have to speak on agenda items specifically as long as it relates to school board business. That was changed in our policy.
Hold on. If you give me 10 seconds, I will find an item to tie it to. I promise.
Are you all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead. Come up, stand up.
Sure.
We're glad to,
Okay. So my name is Amanda Taylor. I'm a parent at Famous Athletics. We just had our showcase at Washington Township Elementary School in Dole Gym. I have a couple concerns and also one compliment. I do want to say thank you to Jerry Mateer because my husband dropped my purse in the parking lot at Washington Township, putting it in the truck, and she was wonderful and called me while I was still standing there. So I want to say thank you to her for making sure that I did get that back because it was my wallet and checkbook. So that was huge. But one of the concerns was just the communication between the school and the gym. My husband was one of the gentlemen setting up the springboard floor the Friday night, so that we could ensure that we were out in time to eliminate the excessive numbers of people attending for the parking lot for the basketball court. And I am a special education teacher and a former diagnostician in Porter County. I've actually worked for East Porter County. I've also worked for Valpo, Duneland, Portage, Wheeler. I live in Wheeler. But I currently teach in Illinois and I'm still a special ed teacher. And one of the things that is a cause of concern is when there is a blatant, egregious use of profanity by staff members in the vicinity of current students, current staff members, community members. We were renting the gym. My husband's a Wheeler. We are Wheeler a family. We have many famous families who are East Porter County families. In fact, Washington Township High School cheer team was just at Famous. And one of the concerns is the use of profanity when we were coming in because there was how to put this very nicely, a lack of communication between administration. So it was on everyone's mind. It should have been a very fun event for our girls. And this was something that the 2 female owners of our gym had to deal with. A current staff member had to deal with, who was trying to do everything right. The concern where tarps were used that we were told were not in our contract, but my husband was one of the ones there. When they looked at the springboard, it would have caused extensive damage to Dold floor had they not put the tarps down. It was offered to pay for the tarps. So that being said, I think in terms of special education, some of the board members know that I'm a special education person, looking at you, Vanessa. And I think in terms of ABCs and antecedent behavior and consequences. And at this point, the antecedent being the phone call that led to the staff member that came and attended and spoke in this manner to one of the owners of the gym and a staff member, to the behaviors that were involved in that, to the consequence now is going to be a fallout with a established, nationally ranked gym not wanting to come back to use your gym for a showcase. I can only hypothesize behaviors. We think of it in that way. I couldn't hypothesize this behavior because as a teacher, I would hope that my administrator or staff members would never speak to the community this way. And I don't know if it was an act of frustration, which happens and can be forgiven, an act of intimidation. I don't know. It was one, and I'm here because the coaches are coaching my daughter right now. I dropped her off at 4:30 and I came straight here. So it's very upsetting and frustrating because now what was a very good relationship between the gym and the school district, it could crumble as a consequence of the behaviors. And it was just something that I'm trying not to be negative and spin this in a positive light because that is how I try to look at things, but it is a concern. And I think I'm probably at my 3 minutes, so I'm really sorry.
You should report, maybe talk to administrators at the school.
I know that the owner of the gym has sent an email to Jerry about what had occurred. I happened to have tonight free and felt that I wanted to, while it was fresh on my mind, bring it to the attention of our administration and the board, as it is something that is going to directly affect everyone sitting in this room if the contracts aren't being made to rent the gym and the businesses aren't going to come in. So as I said, I'm a special ed teacher. I look at things in terms of behavior.
Sure.
So thank you.
Thank you for speaking here tonight, Amanda. Appreciate you. Okay.
May I speak to something? I didn't know I needed to write my name on the, would that be okay?
Yeah, I know you pretty well, so what do you have to say?
Okay. So my concern comes from, so everybody knows I've got 5 kids in Morgan Township, 3 currently enrolled in the elementary. And last week they had a 67th day of school celebration. Okay, and it revolved around this social media meme where everyone.
Sir, can you please just state your name and address? Just
Darren Grieger. You my address?
Okay.
My name's Darren Grieger. I've got 5 kids in Morgan Township. 3 of them are in the elementary currently. Last week they had a 67th day of school celebration, and it revolves around this social media trend where kids are saying 6, 7, and they're making a gesture with their hands. And my kids come home after school curious, what's all this about? Why are kids doing this? Why is everybody saying 6, 7? They look into it, and me not knowing any better, thinking, it couldn't have been anything negative coming from the school. They look into it. It comes from this song, and I have the lyrics here if you'd like to see it. But in the song, the rapper is singing about murdering someone, and he says 6, 7 when he's performing, he does the hand motions, and the reason he uses the number 6, 7 is because a 1067 in police code is indication of a death. And I just want to ask you guys, is that appropriate behavior for the kids to be mimicking in the school and the school promoting? And how did a day like this was chosen? Why did they choose the 67th day? So do people vote on this? It's just doesn't seem quite right for kids to be mimicking this sort of behavior. And there's another song, it's called the 41 song. Kids are starting to say 4-1. They got another hand gesture to go with it. It's the same kind of situation. Even more disgraceful than the last one, but I don't feel that's acceptable behavior in the school, and I'd like to get your opinion on that. And I'm curious, why are days like this being promoted by the school and other days, such as, I don't know, September 17th is one that I remember. You've got a federal mandate to do something on the day, but nobody does anything on that day. Why is that?
Remember you talked to the administrators there?
I have sent emails. I haven't gotten an appropriate response, so I'm bringing it forth this morning to get your input.
Appreciate you, Derek. Look forward to seeing you around the softball field.
Yeah, well, if the kids are still going, maybe.
Oh, yeah, they will be.
Well, something needs to be done in order for that to happen.
Appreciate your comments.
Oh,
No, we're gonna move on to the,
oh, no, I'm not allowed to ask a question.
we're not gonna do that. We're
I'm
gonna
not
go
allowed to
through
ask
that.
a question to community members that had, is the public comments part over?
Yes, it is. We're not.
Okay,
gonna
so why
do-
am I gonna be prohibited from
We're
asking
gonna
questions?
move
or
on to the
community?
next, we're gonna move on
Okay,
to the next.
I just
part.
wanna make sure everybody watching, I'm being prohibited from speaking to the public and asking some clarifying questions. So go ahead and move on, but I'm just letting you know that's not part of policy.
So the next items on the agenda are the consent agenda consisting of items 2A, 2B, 2C, and item 2D and 2E. Do I hear a motion for the consent agenda?
Well, make a motion to approve the consent agenda consisting of item 2A, approval of minutes, business meeting, item 2B, approval of minutes work session, item 2C, financial matters payroll, item 2D, financial matters claims list, and item 2E, approval of personnel report.
Is there a second? Second. By Mrs. McFalls. Any questions, comments?
I have some comments to make, on 2D, the claims list. I had asked for, some specific, just to let you guys know, I did notice that the claims list is not public record. It should be public record based on our policy, but it's not. And the claims list, I could tell you, has about 200 items on it a month, with vague descriptions of what we spend money on. These are expenditures. When I requested, and it would be a lot, I admit, for the school personnel to go through every single, 200 items and send invoices to all the board members, although that would be nice to have, but that's not how the practice has been. So I try to keep those to a minimum. So last month I had asked for 4 items and was denied. For this claims list in particular, I asked for 8 items and was denied. And I want to go ahead and read the reason for denial. So it says, "Dear Mrs. Bowersock, thank you for your inquiry regarding the financial reporting. Financial reporting and oversight. As we've stated previously, the current reporting structure is designed for board oversight and approval, not for managing operational details. Providing a line item detailed report would constitute a shift into operational management, which is outside the scope of the board's governance role. If a board collectively feels it is necessary to change this established practice to include all line item invoices," which, by the way, I didn't ask for all of them, I asked for 8 of them, "a formal motion must be brought forward, debated, and approved to direct this change." I would like to know when this changed. Is there a policy in place? And why is it that we have board members blindly voting on a claims list? That's the question.
Okay. The board has received the information needed to make an informed decision.
How are we given these are just vague descriptions of dollar amounts, which, by the way, the total of this claims list just for this month is over $1 million. So you're asking us to vote on a claims list with over $1 million of expenditures for 1 month, and we're not even allowed to ask to see what an invoice looks like? How is that transparency? We're elected officials. And actually, every invoice on here is a public expenditure, which means that anybody from the community can ask for it. So I went ahead and asked for it that way and still didn't get it.
You didn't ask for it that way. You did not
Yes,
make,
I did ask
you did
for it
not
that
make
way.
an APRA request.
Yes, I did make an APRA request. Would you like me to show it to you?
I saw the emails. They're not APRA requests.
Okay, because it didn't say APRA in it?
Correct.
It does not need to say APRA in it.
Yeah,
I've already talked to the public access
respectfully,
counselor.
it
No,
does.
respectfully, it does not.
Okay.
I'm
Well,
letting you know, which
okay.
is why I had to make a complaint, a formal complaint.
I understand you did, and we'll file a response on behalf of the school. I recommend, you've acknowledged the burden that you would place on the administration in providing every document to all of these. If that's the choice of the board, I would advise the administration to then do that. But for example, you are correct. All of these are public records. But that doesn't mean there aren't exceptions. You specifically asked for the legal bills from my law firm and from Jackie Pillar's law firm. Those are confidential. The amounts are not confidential, but the line items, which are specifically related to you.
That's another topic, but why are we spending over
Ms.
$10,000
Bowersock, I'll be
a
honest,
month?
I'd rather be home with my 2-year-old son than be at every one of these meetings. I'd rather not your school corporation. Our legal bills prior to this year were a tenth of, I think our bill this past month was maybe about what the annual bill was for East Porter Schools. I have plenty of work. I'm not doing this because I need the work. I don't want to be here. But you've created such a litigious, the manner in which you have done things
I'm
that,
wanting transparency, which is what I was elected to do.
well, that's fine. If the board directs them to provide,
This isn't a board decision though. These are public records.
I would agree. And if you make a public records request, the school will comply with that. You've not done that though.
I have done that.
Okay,
And
well,
I actually checked with the public access counselor to see before I sent it, if it was a legitimate APRA request. And they said, yes, that is.
it would be if it said, I'm requesting these records under the Indiana Access to Public Records Act. You didn't reference that. You did it as a board member, and the board has not decided to go this route. Now, if they say, you know what, going forward, we want this level of detail, then my advice to them would be, you need to provide that to the board, if that's what you want.
Regardless, do we think that this is responsible for a board member to ask for, and this, we're not even talking about legal invoices. We're talking about other, very vague descriptions, like, I don't even know. Hold on, I have them written down. I don't know, C&W Tech Supply, Amplify Education, Amico Inc. These are all, a lot of these, we don't know what these are, and we're just supposed to be blindly voting on them, and this is how things have always been done.
Again, right.
This doesn't need a board vote, though. These are public records.
I think you made your point there, Mrs.
Well,
Powers.
I think that I'm not quite sure if I have, because you guys are spending thousands of dollars on attorney fees, as you yourself stated, monthly, about my requests.
No, not about your request, specifically about the litigation that you brought against the
As a parent, and I do have a right to be a parent too, the dual role.
Well, I'm gonna call the question. It was moved by Mrs. Terpstra, seconded by Mrs. McFalls, to approve the consent agenda consisting of items 2A, approval minutes business meeting November the 24th, 2025. Consent agenda item 2B, approval minutes work session November the 24th, 2025. Consent agenda item 2C, financial matters payroll November the 24th, 2025. Item 2B, financial matters claims list November the 24th, 2025. And item 2E, approval personnel report dated November the 24th, 2025. All those in favor signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All opposed, same sign. 1. Motion passes 6-1. Next item on the agenda is action item 3A, approval of operations coordinator role for food service.
So one of the things that we're asking the board to approve is this opportunity to help alleviate and take some of the workload off of Mrs. Nieves so that she can focus more on the business management component as opposed to just food service. She spends a good portion of her time in food service. And this way we would be able to get some of that assistance across all three of the different campuses for minimal costs. We're asking the board to approve the position as presented.
Do I have a motion for approval of personnel report? Oh, you create. Do I have a motion for approval of the operations coordinator role of food service? Sorry.
So
Okay. We have nine from.
And we have somebody in mind for that, correct?
Moved by Mrs. Starr. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mrs. Moore. Any discussion?
I have some questions regarding the second page that Ms. Nieves had attached with the food service operations coordinator position in our annual financial reporting. Can you give us a little bit of information about that? I see that there was an overage. Forgive me, some of this language I'm not quite familiar with. But what is the spend down? Can you just give us a little bit of explanation as to a spend down plan to reduce the balance of our food service account?
We're going to plan to spend down the balance.
Okay, so we were over the amount, like, just could you,
The state gives us we look at the amount of a 6-month operating expense for how much it would be, whether we are over that balance or not.
so we were over the balance by $1 million, we had $1 million surplus? Okay, that's the part I'm confused about.
That was the total in our fund at the end of that year. So we get 6 months of operating balance. If we can, I have the overage amount. It was, I don't know if I have that amount. I can get you that amount.
Do you want me to read it, the paragraph that I was
No, I'm
confused
looking
about?
at it.
Oh, no, I was just the part that I was confused about, I was gonna read that to you if you'd like me to.
Go ahead.
Sure. During the 2024-2025 school year, the school food service fund had a net loss of $13,000 and our ending balance of June 30th, 2025 was over $1 million. During the 2024-2025 school year, we paid $16,000 in stipends to our employees, which these would have been food service employees. Is that, okay, I don't want to assume. Replaced a freezer door, purchased a dryer, purchased a water softener, brought in a chef to do PD day, and paid for materials and stipends so that most of our staff could be Serve Safe certified. So to me, that read, and again, forgive me because I'm trying to understand this, that we would have, it looks like we had that surplus and we were able to use some of that by giving stipends and replacing things and things like that, but there was still an overage amount. Correct. Okay. So have we thought about, from what I understand, there was some broken equipment at Washington Township that was requested. Has anything been done about that?
Yeah, so we had a guy come in October, we did it early October.
Early October that was brought in? Okay. What about?
And it takes 3 quotes, so we have to have 3 people come out and look at it. And so it takes a while to get those. I just got the 3rd one back, so it'll be on in December.
So they're going to be fixing that. Okay, so what about the, I feel like in our corporation where we're trying to restructure and do things of that nature, it does worry me to have another administrative role or operations coordinator role in a district where we are.
I guess I don't see it as an administrator role. I want her really to be in the office. I want her to be out with the district, each of the kitchens. It's taking her knowledge. She's the most experienced person we have. She's been in the district a long time. I want her to be able to help all 3 schools and shift some of that knowledge to them versus the one where we have a pretty strong base here. And we have the fewest number of meals being served.
Okay, and my question to that is, I know we're trying to cut down on having staff move from building to building to building because we had mileage for one employee was over $1,000 last month, which is why there was a vehicle purchased. Still not quite sure how 1,400 miles were driven within 21 days, but either way, I'm trying to just justify how this would be efficient if we have somebody going from school to school to school.
We don't pay
Getting
people
more.
when they're working in different locations to drive within the school. We pay for.
So they wouldn't be getting mileage.
No, she would be going from her house to wherever she's working that day, and she would have access to the vehicle to use to go in between schools.
Okay, have we thought about using any of this overages? Because I do notice month after month, we tend to have a high turnover in the cafeteria due to these, they're not paid very well, cafeteria workers. Have we thought about using some of this overage to pay for some of those employees to get
Yes,
paid better?
but the problem is that food service has been an up and down fund in our district in particular. We've gone from a loss of $300,000 and made that up to where we are today, and a lot of that was due to COVID. And so that time when everybody was eating for free, we were able to get more funds and from the state for that. And so my fear is to commit too much of a full-time salary increase that we cannot sustain long term. Even though we did things last year, right, we still lost money in the.
What about stipends and things like that? I know they aren't guaranteed, but
Can be, but that's something that then, you guys have to be comfortable with giving to food service only and not to the rest of the corporation. because
well,
we don't have that
if
for
this
everybody.
money is allotted, this fund in particular is not for all the other employees, it's
just for
earmarked
food service.
for food service. So that wouldn't be
Right,
something that
but
we
we've
get.
done things, right, like we did on the serve stage, if you take the serve stage test in class, you can get a stipend, we did that. We approved the manager and training program this year, right, so anybody could apply, they did, they can get a stipend, should they do those things, so I think that I put those options out there for people to be able to do, should they choose to, better themselves with the training that we're providing.
Okay, I'm not quite sure that having an additional manager above the entire district is going to help solve the issues that we have with employees leaving due to low pay and things like that. I don't necessarily feel like that would be.
Would that not also give employees a direct person to talk to who has the dedicated time and bandwidth to look at the budget, to consider all of the things, to see if there's a way to change salary or stipend and consider other options moving forward as we look at this? Because you were running essentially, I think, 3 jobs at the moment, this would take one of them.
It gives the managers, I mean, we're gonna have to replace the manager at Washington, right? We have somebody in mind for that, but.
They'll take some
Right.
training, you've got to interview, you've got to train.
Right, and so it's hard for me, I can't be in the kitchens, right? We have the NISA contract, but that's from afar, they don't manage employees, they don't do the day-to-day things here. So I think we can benefit from having somebody over the group that can look at inventories across the district and make better purchasing decisions overall for our whole corporation. We're going to do the cumulative skyward transition this year. That's something that somebody has to be watching for us, because that's a big part of our point of sale system, is our point of sale system, right? We need to have somebody involved in that. The things that I've listed here, but I think she can also, going forward, talking with NESIC, they are, right now, they only have 2 options. You're either a full-time food service director, or you go on to a different plan that's, what they call
It's like a
it.
consultant.
But it's only like 1
mentorship.
hour a month or something like that you get with them. That's not enough for us right now, but we need somewhere in the middle. And so I don't know if you have any information, but they had talked about making kind of a middle ground, where maybe they just do our free and reduced applications and they mentor us, but we can grow somebody ourselves, which would be ideal for us to have our own person here. We just don't have that right now. So my hope is that in growing this person, she can eventually start to take on some of that. We don't have to pay the feed and music long term.
And I guess I would say, Natalie, we had Chartwell, who was a disaster. I mean, when Kim came in, we were $300,000 in debt.
Right. I'm not saying this should fall on Kim, by the way.
No, I'm not hearing you say that. I'm just saying, I think she's probably researched it enough that I'm willing to trust you. Some of your ideas about stipends and things like that are things we've done in the past and continue to want to do. But the state has made funding of education an adventure by changing all of the rules without asking any educators or any board members or any teachers. I realize that I'm on video right now. I spent a great deal of time for 13 years down in front of the state board trying to get this corporation formed. Okay, and I realize the state of Indiana doesn't have a clue what's going on as far as legislatures. And so this, for me, your questions are valid, but I'm comfortable because I think we have to go and try and have it be in-house. I was never for Chartwell. I was one of 7, so I know how it feels to sit and be one of 7 sometimes. All right. But the fact of the matter was, when Kim took over, we were $300,000 in debt and didn't know it. Okay. And I'm comfortable with let's try it and let's see where it goes. And let's be willing to do the other things that we need to do also, whether it be stipend, because we do have a high turnover and we don't. I'm glad we're going back to making it personalized, where it's not a Chartwell person coming in, telling everybody what to do. And then is when we really started losing staff. We lost staff right and left that way. So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
No, and I appreciate that. I just, I know that we've had a decline in enrollment. And we do have some, I guess in my mind, it does not necessarily, these things do not have to necessarily fall on him. We have other central office staff who do different duties. Could we come up with some kind of a flow chart that would kind of help disperse some of these duties, as opposed to hiring on an entire position of an operations coordinator position over the 3 schools? Is there a way to do that a different way? Have we explored other options?
But I'm not hiring a new person. I'm not even.
Is she gonna be, that actually is a good question that I meant to ask.
Same number of staff, it's just moving her role and putting somebody else.
So she would be doing double duty, like she would be doing COUTS, cafeteria, and the other 2 schools?
She would.
I'm sorry, I'm not trying to.
She would just be support for all 3 schools.
But we would still need another kitchen manager
That's where the expense comes in. It's not for her. I'm not changing anything with her. She's gonna work the same number of hours for the same pay, for the same benefits. I'm not changing anything with her, except the title.
And the
But
position
somebody has to fill her position as the kitchen manager. That's where the other expense comes in, because that person goes from working 5.5 hours a day to working 8 hours a day. And they would get an increase in pay and potentially take insurance. I don't think the person will, but that's something we have to consider when we look at it.
But because of the reduced numbers, we're not adding somebody to take her position. It's going through attrition, so it's moving on. Everybody's just not everybody, but these 2 individuals, one person's maintaining, she's just gonna be floating between the 3, and one person gets an increase without hiring anybody else.
So she can review the kitchens regularly. She can look at what they're doing on the line. She can help with training. She can help with inventory. She can help with our commodities, all those things. Our commodities from the state, that's another thing. It's just been a mess this year because the warehouse just closed and then they stopped shipping us anything. So they say they're gonna ship us stuff, we don't get it. So I mean, that's a huge thing that we have to deal with. And the food that we are expecting to get for free doesn't come in. It has to go back in inventory. We have at the state level, and we have to reorder that again and hope we get it. So all those things are just a lot of back and forth.
Right, and I'm not doubting that you don't work hard or that this is not something that could possibly be needed. It's just that when we're looking at, other expenses within the school, some of the things that, with declining enrollment and things like that, the optics of this, adding this type of position, that does worry me from a fiscal perspective, whether or not it's needed or not. It still worries me from a fiscal perspective because we do have teachers in our district who are doing with, going with very little at times, even as far as supplies. And we're saying, well, you guys need to figure it out. But then with this situation, it's like, well, we need to create a new position. So that is the optics of it. And I'm not stretching you.
I think that this is a conversation that we've had a couple times and it just has come more to light that I need to be spending more time on looking at our other expenses and looking at, the possibilities going forward and be able to do the things that we're supposed to be doing in the business office. Not that I can't support and still be part of food service, but I can't give them the attention they need to be able to be a
And I just want to clarify, when I got on in 2023, we created the position for you. So here was when we had a food service director making 54,000 some change with benefits. And at now looking at 24-25 schedule, which is not 26, it could be anywhere from 9,000 the school's paying to 26,000 the district would be paying. And so you look at a position that's around 80 to 90, almost $100,000, because again, that was a couple of years ago, who would take that position, and you are taking the burden of it, to be completely honest. And I know that you help. I know at that time we also created another person in food service. We had the contract music, we had you, and then we had another position that got created to help. At that time it was Nicole.
She just got, right.
Correct.
So she's still managing the kitchen, right? So she was doing a few more things.
Correct. And that was, so all these years you've been trying to make it through. Obviously, like you said, things are changing, but you have 3 main functions that you were doing for the district at all times. And obviously, you took it on for nowhere near what, if we separated it out from you, what it would cost the district. The district would be, again, $90,000 to $100,000 for that position to take it on.
Well, thank you. I'm gonna call the question here. Those that got caught up in everything here, we did have a motion by Mrs. Starr and a second by Mrs. Moore. All those in favor of approval, action item 3, approval of operations coordinator role for food service, signify by raising hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All those opposed? 1. Motion passes 6-1. Next item on the agenda is item 3B, approval of student service specialist wage increase.
So we are asking the board to look at our student service specialists, or otherwise known as social workers. The increase that we are looking at giving them across the board is similar to what we did with our teachers. However, there are 2 that was a little bit more than that, simply to try to get them up to the base salary of the teacher. All of our social workers were extremely blessed. They do have currently a master's degree or better. And so we're just asking the board, being that they're not part of the bargaining unit, to for the increase as presented.
Do I hear a motion for approval of the student service specialist wage increase?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. McFalls. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Starr. Any discussion?
Sure, I have some discussion. I had pointed out via email that they, all of the student service specialists are contracted for 183 days, except for one. They're contracted with similar salary with 163 days. Can you let us know a little bit about that?
All of 183 days.
It was, at Couts School, there's one student service, one right here, 163 days.
183 days.
It has been changed.
Okay, it has been
As I
changed.
I
Okay.
told you in the email.
Well, but on here, the packet that you provided with me, it's not, it says 163 days.
And I apologize, you missed that.
I just want to make sure that that wasn't,
No, that was printed out, gosh, before the last schedule. I'm guessing Mr. Martin has an old one too.
Nope, mine says 183.
Okay.
Okay, well, any other discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor, item 3B, approval of student services specialist wage increase, signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion passes 7-0. Next item is item 3C, approval for fuel bid extension.
So currently we have a contract with Triple JMR for our petroleum. And we, in our bid packet, it says that we can extend that for 1 year past the date, and we would like to extend that with them for the next year. And keep the rates at the same as they were last year.
has the board been given a copy of this contract?
It's in here.
Because I see this one. Oh, okay.
Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Martin. Is there a second? second by Mrs. McFalls. Any comments, other questions?
Kim, do you know how much the increase would be? Like, if we didn't sign this and renegotiated with them, or?
You'd have to bid it out.
Oh,
Yeah,
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 okay,
yeah.
thank you.
How often do we bid it out? It's every year unless we extend it, so it's an annual term. We bid it last year, we were extending it for this year, and then we would bid it again next year. We generally only have 2 people that ever bid on it, and they're generally within 10 of each other.
Do we pretty much use, this is just a question I have, do we pretty much use the amount of fuel that they estimate?
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor of item 3C, approval of fuel bid extension, signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion passes 7-0. Next item is item 3D, second reading and approval of policy 5101.
Asking the board, we made some adjustments to the online classes, being that we are no longer utilizing Odysseyware. And so we just have made it set up to look after how we are doing things. The biggest change basically has to do with summer school. Also so that parents would be paying for online courses for summer school moving forward. And then also there would be a $35 fee for any classes that students have to take simply for bookkeeping purposes.
Do I hear a motion for approval of policy 5101?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Terpstra. Is there a second?
A second.
Second by Mrs. McFalls. Any questions, comments?
I'm just curious, how many kids use it?
Throughout the year, right now, I think just going on right now is to make sure that for classes, there's actually more than what I thought. I think we're sitting right around 60 or so right now throughout the district.
I have a question. Some constituents had read over this policy and had brought up some things that I actually hadn't thought about. But there was some concerns that doing this would be possibly eliminating the need for some in-person instruction. And they envision things such as having students kind of packed into a library and just doing online learning as opposed to learning from an instructor, as a way to like cut down costs possibly. I'm just letting you know that came from a constituent. It wasn't something that I thought of when I first saw this policy, but I wanted to just get information as far as what we're hoping to, how this policy would improve what we already have in place at East Porter.
Sure. And I will tell you with our guidance counselors, the way that it's set up now, the only way that a student is to take the classes if it doesn't fit in their schedule. And we always emphasize trying to get them in the classroom before putting them into online.
So we do have a rule right now where if there isn't, is it 8 or 10 students enrolled in a class, then we won't offer it. Is that correct?
Currently, we have 43 classes that have less than 10 kids in them.
But as a rule, that is something that they try not to.
We are trying to make sure that, yes.
Okay, because I know that like at Couts, they have a lower population, so that happens more at Couts than like, for example, Washington has a higher amount, like.
Actually, Morgan Township has the most in virtual classes.
No, I wasn't talking about virtual classes. I was actually speaking about just classes in general. I had been aware that, I've been informed that we typically do not want to offer a course unless there's 8 to 10 students signed up for it. Otherwise, that course is not offered. But there's been some exceptions at Couts because Couts has a smaller population, and so they kind of still have to do that. But I just wanted to make sure that we're not going to be just, eliminating that and then just having them sit into a library, for example, on a computer and doing their coursework that way.
Sure.
So just hope that that's not the trajectory of where this is headed in approving a policy like this.
Dr. Cuse, I'm just curious, one of the criteria is that students can enroll in online classes to avoid particular teachers.
They cannot.
Right, they cannot.
Correct.
How do we, Chris, you're there, how do you make sure that you can tell pretty well if they're just trying to avoid a teacher?
We're asking for a justification on why they need to take that class online. And currently classes are taken online for credit recovery purposes.
Okay.
Although in math and science, we try to avoid that at all costs because we want kids to have the benefit of being in a classroom with a teacher. There may be some students that are looking to graduate early. And because of that, there's not a hole in their schedule to take a class. So I'm not currently aware of any students trying to avoid a teacher. And we are going to press and push to make sure that if they need a class, they're going to do it with a human on our campus or one of the other two campuses.
Any other questions or comments? It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of approval of policy 5101 signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All opposed, same sign.
Only because I just would prefer to have more of that language that Mr. Fields had just said, that, I would like to have that more outlined in our policy.
Do we not currently have a policy that states, or to practice with the, that they need to try? I thought
We normally have that language when we're doing summer school classes.
Okay, so this would be during the school year or?
It applies to both.
Okay.
All right, so that motion passed. The next item is approval of corporation office holiday calendar.
As we do every year, we present the board the calendar to approve.
Do I hear a motion for approval of the corporation office holiday calendar?
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Martin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Ooh, Mrs. Starr, I heard you first. My good ear, my right ear. Any questions or comments about the corporation office holiday calendar? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor of approval of the corporation office holiday calendar signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Motion passes 7-0. Next item is 3F, approval of 2026 school board meeting calendar.
You have in front of you the proposed schedule for next year for the school board meetings.
Where's the one that had it starting August 31st?
This is the school board one.
You're jumping ahead.
Not the school board.
Sorry, my bad.
Okay, well, do I hear a motion to approve the 2026 school board meeting calendar?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. McFalls. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Moore. Any questions, comments?
I want to thank you for the note on the schedule that both the business and work sessions are public sessions. So anyone can come. You can come and say hi. We had a nice full house in here this evening. It was lovely. So thank you for that.
Oh, good comment. Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor of 3F, approval of 2026 school board meeting calendar, signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion passes 7-0. Next item here is a 3G approval of 2026 to 2027 school calendar.
I've lost my flair now.
What?
In front of you, we do have the school calendar for next year is proposed. You will see that there is a little bit of a difference in it. There was conversation that we had with the Teacher Federation in regards to parent-teacher conferences And we had actually looked at moving them, but as we were having a conversation and looking at that, by moving them, what it does is it creates a disruption in the flow of the education for different weeks. So instead of just having solid weeks, you'd have a partial week and then kind of a week, and well, because then you've got your professional development day. And so we were looking also at that flow of the educational process. So therefore there hasn't been any, there was no change to that. However, if you do look, something that was brought up through discussion, because it was set that the 26th would be the last student day. And the teachers brought to me, you know, with the way that it was set up, we'd have finals on Friday, finals Monday, Tuesday. And so would it not be possible just to push that week a day so that we could have finals all at one time as opposed to having a weekend between there? And to do that, it also allows us then to not have school on January 18th, which we would be like the other Porter County schools and not have school on Martin Luther King Day. So we ask the board to approve our new calendar for the 26-27 school year.
Do I hear a motion to approve item 3G, approval 2026-2027 school calendar?
So
Moved by Mrs. Bowersock, got it. And is there a second? Second by Mrs. McFall. Any comments, questions? We'll see, then we'll call the question. All those in favor of approving item 3G, approval 2026-2027 school calendar, signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion passes 7-0. Next item is item 3H, approval of Morgan Township overnight field trips.
So we are asking the board to approve the debate overnight trips for the Morgan Township for the debate club.
Do I hear a motion for approval of Morgan Township overnight field trips?
So moved.
Who was that?
Mrs. Bowers.
Mrs. Bowersock, okay. And who was the second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Terpstra, got it. Any questions or comments?
Well, is there a ballpark figure of how many kids are going?
I don't know. I know it's gotta be less than 14 because they're taking the mini.
Okay. Has the speech tournament been at Fisher's before?
I think this is the first year that they're going down for an overnight. Before it was more local.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? Seeing them, call the question. All those in favor of item 3H, approval of Morgan Township overnight field trips, signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion passes 7-0. Next item is I, approval of senior parking spots at Couch.
So, trying to think, a few weeks back, we had Morgan Township and Couch come to us with a couple of different projects. They've started working on, and being that there's not really any changes to the facilities and stuff, just to give you an update, they are starting to look at mowing and some limb removal for the cross-country course, but I need to bring you the Couch one simply because there's a fee involved. And anytime you charge a fee or anything like that, it requires board action. So we are asking the board to approve the date or the senior spots at Couch. Simply, and the reason that I need to bring it to you is because there are fees involved.
Okay, so moved by Mr. Martin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Bowersock. Got it. Okay. Any questions, comments?
Where does the $20 go?
It will go into I believe it's going to go into the ECAs simply to help so that they can fix the spots up if there's not anything along those lines. I know part of it goes into, because we charge now for the parking spots, but this will be, just to have some money to help with the resealing or on that.
Any other questions, comments? Seeing none, then I'll call the question. All those in favor of item 3I, approval of senior parking spots, signify by raising your hand. 4, 5, 6, 7. Motion passes 7-0. Next item is item 3I, approval of disposal of athletic equipment.
So,
3J? Yeah, I got it. I know my alphabet.
okay. So Morgan Township is looking at trying to create some space and dispose of equipment that is either gotten into disrepair or is not utilized. So we are asking the board to approve the disposal, and all funds reselling it will then go back to the athletic department. But these pieces of equipment are outdated.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Martin. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Bowersock. Is there any other questions or comments? Seeing none, then I'll call the question. All those in favor of approval to dispose of athletic equipment, signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion passes 7-0. Item 3K, approval of Thorgrim donation.
So Thorgrim is donating $1,700 towards the advanced manufacturing class that we started up at CALS. There's been some additional fees with it that weren't necessarily known with Ivy Tech, and the amount that it takes to take the test for the certification is high. So Thorgrim has donated money to help take care of those expenses.
Do I hear a motion for approval of the Thorgrim donation? Moved by Mrs. Terpstra. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. McFalls. Any questions or comments? Very kind, correct. Any other questions, comments? Okay, well then I'll call the question. All those in favor of item 3K, approval of Thorgrim donation, signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Motion passes 7-0. Next, we have board member discussion. And I just want to make a statement here. Certainly, we are making a statement to reaffirm the commitment of the school board to our adopted code of ethics and professional conduct. And our effectiveness as a governing body is directly tied to the trust we earn from the community, the integrity of our internal processes, and our collective commitment to putting children first. It has become necessary to address recent actions that compromise the sanctity of our governance and the trust placed in us. While we operate as a collective body, the conduct of every member must strictly adhere to the professional standards outlined in our governing documents. Specifically, we must address several procedural and ethical violations that have recently transpired. First is a breach of confidentiality and irregular discussion. The code of ethics is clear. Authority rests only with the board in official meetings. We must not allow sensitive personnel or confidential business discussions to occur when non-board members are present, nor shall such topics be introduced in executive sessions without being properly agendized and noticed. Breaching this confidentiality violates the trust of our employees and the integrity of the board process and may in fact violate the open door law. Second thing is misinformation and failure to follow procedure. The code requires all board members to accept their responsibility of becoming well-informed concerning their duties. As such, the board receives the appropriate documentation legally required to take action. Claims of being denied needed documents or statements alleging board dysfunction made publicly or on social media are unfounded and misleading when the established procedures have not been followed. Such actions, especially when inaccurate, constitute a failure to meet our responsibility to maintain desired relations and foster public confidence. 3 is refusal to respect majority rule and integrity. The persistent filing of unsubstantiated complaints and the use of social media to publicly undermine the board and its leadership are direct violations of the principles that guide us. We are collectively required to respect the opinion of others and graciously conform to the principle of majority rule. Furthermore, we are obligated to refuse to discuss confidential business of the board in public, earning the community's confidence that all is being done in the best interest, again, for all our students. The board must operate with integrity, which means we refuse to play politics in any petty sense. We refuse to discuss personnel matters or other confidential business of the board in public. We act only upon the recommendation of the superintendent in matters of employment or dismissal and refer all complaints to the proper administrative office for initial solution. This board officially insists that all members immediately cease and desist from any conduct that violates our established code of ethics. Such conduct is unnecessarily waste of public time and resources and creates an atmosphere of fear and distrust, both with our community and all our valued employees. Procedural fairness, confidentiality, and truthfulness are non-negotiable foundations of our service. To function effectively, the board needs to work collectively and collaboratively in the best interest of its community, even in the face of respectful disagreement and dialogue. Moving forward, this board president and the board as a whole will take all necessary and available measures to ensure adherence to our ethics policy and protect the integrity of this governing body. We are united in our purpose, and that purpose is very simple. Children first. Then I'll move on to board member discussion.
Can you elaborate a little bit on this breach of confidentiality, breach of open door law? Truthfulness being fundamental.
I'm going to refer that to our superintendent and to our board attorney.
The board president is free to speak how he wishes. I agree generally with all of the things that he said.
Okay. So when he cut me off, when I wanted to speak and ask some clarifying questions, where's the policy for that?
I'll actually bring that up. I'm glad you brought it up. It's actually what he read, which says that to allow everyone who wishes fair and adequate hearing, it talks about how the school corporation and the governing body, we don't interact back and forth.
Right,
It's on a back and
during
forth
public
dialogue.
comment, which
That was-
Ms. Starr had pointed out, during public comment, we're not allowed to, but I asked him, is public comment over? He said yes. Then I wanted to ask a clarifying question and was not allowed to do so.
So that's not even necessarily the time or the place, because.
It's not
we
the
need
time
to
or the place.
continue
These people have came and
Yes.
drove out here.
Absolutely.
And as a board member, we all have equal elected authority.
Absolutely.
So to be shut down when I'm asking a clarifying question to our respectful community who's taken their time to come out and speak.
I 100% agree. But we also would direct chain of command. I know you're not a big fan of that, but the chain of command is to follow
No, it's
through.
not that I'm a big fan of it, it's just that the chain of command seems to change depending on who's following that chain of command, who's not following it.
Well, I mean, that would be during board member discussion, this would be the time. Right? If you could ask her.
The board president does generally run the meetings. And I think Mr. McFerrin could have allowed you to ask that question. I think he chose not to. I don't think there's anything prohibiting him from doing that. And I do agree. I think if you want to ask that question, I think the gentleman's still here. You're welcome to do that, but you are all elected, but there has to be, and I'm not saying you are out of order. I'm not criticizing you for wanting to ask a question, but there does have to be some order to running the meetings, and whether or not that was his choice in that moment to say he's not going to allow that question. I don't think it was improper for him to prohibit.
I guess I would say in practice over the last 32 years, most of the questions come after, like right now. Instead of otherwise, Natalie, what happens is that it becomes a 10 or 15 minute dialogue that distracts from what we're trying to get done. But at the end, like whether we do it as a board discussion or not, I'm going to talk to Mr. Grieger about, I've had the same discussion with my grandkids about 6, 7 and had a brother look it up, and it is not a good thing to be saying. And I think you need to understand from my perspective as a board member, I'm very offended when I hear it said. I still have grandkids that say it, but you know what? When they say it at my house, they get punished. Okay, I can't control what's going on in schools. You know, hopefully we're setting a standard. And that's what you're concerned about, that we're setting a standard.
Why are we revolving our day?
Well, I don't have an answer to that.
The issue.
Yeah, I don't have an answer to that question, because I don't know why we did that. And I also wanted to just, Rick, is it all right? Can I?
Sure.
Was it more than one person that exhibited profanity to?
It was one person, and there were 15 to 17 members from Famous setting up the gym.
That heard it.
In addition to 2 to 3 students, one of which is a Washington Township student.
Okay. No, that's not appropriate. I was amazed. We came back from how many, and it is relevant, but irrelevant to what I'm asking. That was a huge crowd. How many people were there?
There were 300 pre-sale tickets in addition to the entire population of athletes. So all of the teams plus our show team.
How many teams were there?
Shoot, hold on. I can look. We had 8 or 9 teams, each team averaging between 11 and 28 girls and boys, in addition to all of the children who did not have to pay to get in. So Brittany, the owner, I think she said we sold ticket sales totaled at $15 for adults and $10 for like a certain age, like 18. So my son, $2,480 in sales, and that does not include any of the fundraising they did, because they do these events to help.
How many years in a row have you done it in Washington?
I believe this is one of the first years they've done it at Washington, because prior they could do it at the facility, but the facility across the street now has been rented by Church Writing. And so they've completely outgrown that space. The gym was packed. I swept the bleachers. That was me. The amount of popcorn I found in there was disgusting. But I did go through all of the bleachers with the broom and the little thingy, cleaned them up, cleaned under it, and pencils. I could have like supplied my classroom with the number of pencils I found. So, but it was packed.
Well, I know from our administration standpoint, whether it be Chris or Doug, we don't approve of profanity. And so I'm sure they'll get to the bottom of it. And from my standpoint, it's not, it's a very poor reflection on us.
And I'm a person, and if anyone on the board knows me, I swear like that. I do. I like to find new ways to conjugate and create new words out of like them. Like it's a game, but even I know when not to. Like I would never say that to my students. And it wasn't just like the S word, it was the F-bomb.
And I actually had gotten some phone calls over the weekend from constituents that were pretty upset about how that went. And I didn't even know the event was going on. these were parents that didn't even know each other, that had contacted me, that had let me know that the comments that were made to a specific staff employee at Washington that is a very kind and hardworking individual, the comments that were made to her by the Washington Township staff member, administrator was just egregious. So.
Well, my apologies to you.
Thank you. I will convey that to the two gym owners who weren't able to come tonight, so.
And I think that's probably true of the board
I'm sure. Yeah.
and administration.
It's just a shame because now we'll have to find a new facility to potentially
Well, does
use.
one bad apple spoil the whole thing?
Starting to.
That's not entirely, I'm just saying it would go a long way, I think, to have an apology to those two young women who have built a team that is well-known and is nationally recognized and is in your backyard.
Can you give those pieces of information to either our board president or Dr. Dix, or you have?
I have an email from the,
Okay.
from one of them.
If you need anything else, just let me know. I can get it for you.
Any other board discussion? Hey, I want to end on a couple of good things, or really good things. I had the opportunity on Sunday, November the 16th, to go to Portage High School, and they had the all-region honor band. There were 43 schools at this all-region honor band, and the students had to try out for the band, and they had to have a tryout session. And then we did have all three schools represented here. And I want to say kudos to Caitlin Collar from Couts, and Darren Day from Morgan, and Justin Thompson from Washington Township. The students presented themselves very well. Altogether, there were 103 students. And the guest conductor was a gentleman named Jeffrey Partham. And he's world famous. He lives in Lafayette, and he directs the Purdue Lafayette Symphony Orchestra. It just was an outstanding event. These students on Saturday practiced and worked together from 9 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon with just a half-hour break for lunch. And I tell you, if you closed your eyes, you think you had a world symphony orchestra. Then Saturday night, had the opportunity to go to the Morgan Township Middle School presentation. It was called Rotten Apples, and there were 50 middle school kids involved with that. They sold out 3 shows. That's 180 per show. There were 540 people in attendance, plus the 50 that were in the play, either as actors or running lights. We are doing some great things here, and I think we just need to recognize all the great things.
And I talked with Mrs. Cox, and the way that it was set up, they actually have different kids performing on the different nights, simply so that she could let all of them have some kind of position in it. She was tired.
And
it was really good.
Yeah, and she's also started now last year started the Morgan Minis, which are 4th and 5th graders interested in drama. And for those that are looking for things to do on December the 12th and April the 10th, mark their action calendars for the Morgan Minis. I don't have any more.
Well, I want to compliment the board. I think we have a 7-member board that is very unique, that we're all very different, and we're still learning how to get along with each other. And I want to compliment Mrs. Moore for being an activist in regard to the East Side projects that are coming in, and some of Mr. Fields was there, his wife was there at the open house at Valpo Chamber. But this is a time, there are several times in history when it's important for people to be involved in things, and this is a time. I believe we need to, if we want to have some say in what happens with our tax base in East Porter County, whether you're a Morgan or Couts or a Washington person, what happens on the east side of 49 up by the hospital is critical to what the tax funding for us is. Also, it is a critical time. I said earlier, the first 4 years that I was on the board, I made 13 trips to Indianapolis to talk to legislators, to the state school board, to different people. It was a different issue at that time as far as they weren't even letting us build. But Senate Bill 1 has hurt schools. The general consensus is that over 100 schools will have to do referendums just to maintain what they have. And if you've read anything about East Porter County, we've had a pretty good record. So I would encourage people to contact senators. I've seen senators have to come into special session and undo things that were done that were a mistake. I've seen it. I was a part of talking to Kenley when they did it with TIF stuff. And I just encourage you, if you know your senators, let them know education is important and property taxes are important, but you can't separate the two and act like one doesn't affect the other, because they do. So that's my political speech for the night. And I just encourage you to contact people.
And the survey is still open until
Right.
December 5th, so.
As far as east
Yeah,
side.
east side.
Yeah. So anyway, thank you all for coming. You're a very patient crowd. You have very valid concerns and we appreciate. It's always good to have people here.
Any other board discussion? Then we have additional items from the superintendent.
So I just want to, again, express our gratitude and appreciation, being that Thanksgiving is this week, it's very appropriate. Mrs. Gant donated $100 towards the baseball team at Couts. Thornton and Tool also donated towards the athletics to be the boys basketball half court sponsor, amount of $500. Dave Good donated $100 towards the baseball team at Couts as well. And then there was an anonymous donation of $173 that was given instead of purchasing things from the fundraiser. So again, extremely blessed. We've got wonderful contributors in our community. And I wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. And that's all I have.
Okay. Motion to adjourn.
You're gonna make that motion, Mr. Martin? Okay. Moved by Mr. Martin. Is there a second? Second by Mrs. McFall. Any discussion? Seeing none, call the question. All those in favor of adjournment, signify by raising your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6.
Okay.
7-0. Good night, everybody. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Can you take Jimmy's